steak, butter, salt, pepper if you absolutely need it. A lot of paper towel. You're gonna need a lot. Aluminum foil, put a little bit of aluminum foil on a pan and make 3 balls or more. You can make more if you want. After letting that piece sit out all night long, rinse that thing off. Rinse it off. Cradle that cutie in some paper towels and get it dried off. If you got exterior fat, cut that off. We'll use it later. Now the next thing to do is salt the hell out of it. Do not be afraid of the salt. Do not be afraid of the salt. You take that salt and you put it everywhere. A lot of it. Don't worry, it's not going to ruin it. It's going to draw all of that moisture out. We're going to let it sit here for a while and let it sweat. Mofos think, oh, it's so juicy. It's so juicy. That's grease. That's grease you're swallowing. That's not juice. That's grease. We're going to make juice out of this. Don't worry. Now elevate that thing on them balls we made earlier. Let it sit for like 30 minutes, just like this. Don't touch it. Cover it if you want, if you're afraid of flies. We're going to leave it sit like this for like 30 minutes. We're going to come back and we're going to pat the hell out of it with some paper towels. And we're going to do it again and again and again until it stops sweating and starts bleeding. See, look at all this wetness coming off of it. We just patted this off. Look, it's wet already again from that salt. That salt is drawing out all of that water from the meat, all of that grease. And we're going to be left with just juice. It ain't rocket surgery. Just pat that thing down. Nice and dry now. With some paper towels. Get it dry. Don't worry, it doesn't gotta be pretty. Paper towel. Look at this candy-like red coming out. Just salt it again and again. We're just gonna salt it. I'll do it right now. We're just gonna salt it again. We're just gonna salt it again. We're just gonna salt. Let it sit out a little bit. We're gonna let it keep sitting out. I don't know how much more I gotta emphasize this. Salt. Let it sit out. Pat it down when it gets wet. Look, it's dry. It's dry, right? When we come back, I'll show you again. When we come back, it's gonna be wet with grease, with moisture, with moisture. It's gonna be wet. We're just gonna pat it down again until it's not wet no more. Look, hold on. Look at all this. Look at this. Look at this. This is wetness. This is not juice. There's no blood coming out of this. It's called sweating. We're sweating the steak. Eventually, there'll be a little splotch of blood, little splotches of blood on the paper towel, and that means it's ready to cook. But not yet. Look at this. It's still wet. This is bad. We want blood. We want a little splotch of blood. I'm turning off the comments for this video. I don't need y'all to tell me how good my steak is. I know, okay? All right? Okay, all right? Get your dirty ass stove. Shut up. Get your dirty ass stove ready. Turn it down all the way, as low as it can go. Yeah. We're going to be cooking for a very long time, so a low temperature is perfectly fine. It's going to be hard to see on my phone, but there's a little splotch of blood right there. And that's what we're looking for. It doesn't have to be much. It just has to be noticeably different than the rest. After the sweating has stopped, see, look, there's barely any sweat on this thing in comparison to the old ones. That last one I showed you, look, it's almost dry, but there's a little spot of blood. That means it's ready for the oven. Now before you throw that thing in, make sure it's elevated. Make sure it's elevated up off of the surface there, so that when you're cooking it, any of that extra moisture that might be left inside drips down onto that and doesn't soak into the meat again. We're going to use that later, don't worry. Now, depending on the weight of the steak is how long we got to cook it. Because we're cooking it at such a low temperature, look, I can grab this thing with my bare hands. This ain't hot. This ain't hot at all. Because of the low temperature we're cooking, we're going to need to cook for a long time. I highly suggest you just use Google. Just use Google and look up weight that you need to cook. It ain't hard. Use Google. If you don't know how to use Google, I don't know how to help you. It's only been about 40 minutes, 50 minutes. Took it out the oven. We're going to flip it around, put it right back in. You might be able to tell, this is the other side here. I flipped it around already. You might be able to tell this side's a little bit less dark. That's why we flip it. We're going to keep flipping it over and over again, because if you leave it to sit on one side, the bottom is going to look, it's going to be cooked all the way through, but the bottom's not going to be as pretty as the top. We want that bottom pretty. Back in she goes for another 30 minutes or so. All right, you're going to take it out of the oven. Once you have gotten it out like 3 or 4 times, I don't know, just keep going. Follow your instructions on Google for the timer based on the weight of the meat. Now just take some soft butter. Just don't afraid to be touching it with your fingers. Who cares? Just rub that on there. Nice. Just do that everywhere. Do that all around the damn thing. Just who cares if it's butter? Who cares? Just take your hands, rub some butter on that. There you go. And now that's going to help you stick your pepper. If you absolutely have to put some pepper on there. God damn it. Oh, my fingers, they're all buttery. And that's going to help you just coat this thing in pepper. Completely soak it in pepper. All right, back into the oven she goes. And throw her back in the oven. Just put it back in there. Just throw her back in the oven. Make sure you're cooking it long enough. Don't cook it too dang long. Cook it long enough. Make sure you're cooking it long enough. You don't want to be raw. It's low temp. You cook that thing super slow. Away she go. All right, right before you're about to take that thing out the oven, get this skillet here red hot. Get it super hot, sizzling hot. Probably gonna have to open a window to get rid of the smoke. Use butter or lard if you got it. Almost forgot, that's the fat we cut off. We want to throw that in there with the butter or fat, the lard. We're gonna let that shit stick to the pan. All right, it's super hot. It's spitting at me. Ow! This hurts. So this is the part that hurts the worst. You gotta slap that steak right in there. Ow! God! Slap that steak in there. It's gonna be super hot. We gotta push that down too. God dang! Probably shouldn't use your hands. Go ahead and, ow! Just push that down there. God damn. I'm gonna push it real good, all the way around. We're gonna sear this. We're gonna burn the hell out of this. Let it sit there. Push it down. I don't care. Do whatever. Push it down is my method. Ow. Oh, God. All right. Oh. Oh, yeah. Oh, Jesus. Oh, yeah. That's what we want right there. Flip it over. Let it sit on its side. Oh yeah. It's getting smoky in here. That's fine. Look at that. Might have used a little bit too much butter, just kidding. Yeah. Oh my God. Be careful not to let that crap fall on you and splash toward you. Try to push it away from you instead of what I just did there. Oh yeah. Alright, we're going to do this until we're bored with it, and I'll be right back. We're going to let this cool down a little bit, then we're going to transfer all this tallow out into a safe container. I'll show you what happens next. Now you ain't got to do this. This is not necessary. Look at this extra shit here. This is the juice. This is the good stuff. But here, see this scraped on stuff? This is even better. Get yourself some red wine. It don't matter. Oh God, make sure it ain't super hot. Oh geez. Need a little bit. Need a little bit. Watch. See how this stuff comes right up? See how that stuff comes right up? Take your spatula. Look. That comes right up. Get that off the heat. You want it cooled down a little bit before you do this, but not all the way. Now, put this in there. Don't mind that grease in the background. I keep my bacon grease. Alright, if y'all know, then you know. Alright, make sure you scrape all this up. Make sure you put all this in there. Alright, and now we take it. We take all that stuff, that good juice. Just pour it. Pour it on the steak. If you're fast enough, and if you do the wine quick enough, when you pour this over your steak, it will start popping and sizzling. I didn't want to maybe start a fire on video, so we skipped that one. But yeah. Now comes the actual hardest part of this entire thing. Looking at this beast. And then putting it in the fridge. Immediately put it in the refrigerator. We're going to let that thing sit in the refrigerator until it's cold. Listen, if you cut it open right now, all that juice that we just put into it, look, it's wrapped up nice and tight. All that juice we just put into it is going to leak right out. We got to get it cold first so the juice stay inside when we cut it. Take that thing out of the fridge after like an hour, cut into it, and there you go. You can heat that right up in the microwave. You won't be able to tell. Who cares? Throw it back in the oven for a little bit. It's done. It's good. Now that is juicy. That ain't the grease. That ain't the grease that y'all call juice. That is juicy. God dang it. All right, bye.